was never really good playing role of the puppet. Too busy being me, to be concerned with perception of the public. Everyone is buzzing, but everybody ain't thinking about a budget. I want ownership in something. Niggas get they...
Blade has a unique origin in Marvel's horror comics before he appeared alongside other heroes to one day join the Avengers. Blade debuted in 1973's Tomb of Dracula #10 by Marv Wolfman and Gene Colan. As vampires run rampant throughout London late one night, Blade appears and saves a young couple from a terrible fate. Blade was introduced as a supporting character in Marvel Comics' The Tomb of Dracula #10, July 1973, written by Marv Wolfman and penciled by Gene Colan. The artist recalled in 2003, "Marv told me Blade was a black man, and we talked about how he should dress and how he should look. Very heroic looking. That was my input. The bandolier of blades, that was Marv's idea. But I dressed him up, I put the leather jacket on him and so on." Colan based the character's features on a composite of black actors, including NFL football star turned actor Jim Brown. He initially sported 1970s-style afro hair and wielded teak-bladed knives. Blade appeared in issues number 10 to 21, with frequent appearances until number 61 in 1977. Wolfman spoke on the character's inception during an interview. Eric Cross Brooks was born in a brothel in the Soho neighborhood of London, England, on October 24, 1929. His mother was Tara Vanessa Cross Brooks, an heiress seeking sanctuary with Madame Vanity, an agent of the Order of Tirana. When Tara experienced severe labor complications, a doctor was called. In actuality, the doctor was the vampire Deacon Frost, who killed Tara by drinking all of her blood. However, this inadvertently passed along certain vampire enzymes to her baby son as he was born. Eric thus became part vampire, preventing him from being turned by a vampire's bite. Blade has also speculated that it gave him a hatred of vampires, though this may simply be hyperbole on his part. The brothel's sex workers drove off Frost once they realized what he had done. Due to his father Lucas Cross being falsely imprisoned in his native Latveria, Eric was raised in the brothel, believing his mother to have been an employee there. And at age 9, returning home from school one day, he saw an old man being attacked by 3 vampires. Eric helped the man, Jamal Afari, distract his attackers so that he could kill them with a silver sword. Afari, posing as a jazz musician, soon became a father figure to Eric, teaching him music and training him in the ways of fighting vampires. Eric was soon able to defeat many of the weak, younger vampires that he and Afari found in abundance. Over time, the young man became an Olympic-level athlete and a formidable hand-to-hand combatant. His skill with knives and daggers was such that it earned him the nickname Blade among both his fellow hunters and the vampires they opposed, who began to fear him. After the death of Hannibal King and Frank Drake, he once used the alias Frank Blade with his landlady, which he claimed was short for Hannibal Francis Blade. In Earth 1610, Blade also received additional training from the legendary Stick. Blade's easy victories made him cocky. He joined a gang of young hunters, the Blood Shadows, headed by Cyrus Cutter, later killed by Blade in a knife fight caused by Blade's disapproval of Cutter's actions as leader. Gloriana, Cutter's girlfriend, became Blade's first lover. Having gone to London, where for months the group hunted vampires, demons, and warlocks under Blade's leadership, the group encountered a much older and more powerful vampire than any Blade had met before, named Lamia. Blade barely defeated Lamia, who slaughtered the other Blood Shadows and bit Glory, turning her into a vampire. Although Glory subsequently refused to kill Blade, she warned him never to look for her or she would kill him. The tragedy of the experience changed Blade considerably, as he became much more focused and determined in his hunting. Afari himself later fell prey to Dracula, the first occurrence in an ongoing feud between the Vampire Lord and Blade. Blade mercy killed his mentor after Afari rose as a vampire, and tracked Dracula back to Europe, Asia, and Asia Minor, staking him many times, but never completely destroying him. While in China, Blade joined Ogun Strong's vampire hunters, which included Azu, Orgy, and Muzenda. Together, they staked Dracula again. Dracula survived and killed all of the hunters except Blade and Musenda, who eventually retired from vampire hunting. Orgy had created a lasting impression on Blade with his use of wooden daggers to combat vampires, leading to Blade adopting that weapon as his preferred arms. Consumed by grief for his fallen comrades, Blade resumed his quest alone. Quincy Harker's Vampire Hunters. Blade eventually located Dracula in Paris, where he first encountered the vampire hunter Quincy Harker, son of Jonathan Harker, who he knew by reputation, and Harker's fellow vampire hunters, Rachel Van Helsing, great-granddaughter of Abraham Van Helsing, Taj Nital, and Frank Drake, last mortal descendant of Dracula. Because of his mercurial temperament, Blade had a strained but steady relationship with the group, allying himself with them on several occasions, but always parting ways with them in the end. Later, after an unsuccessful battle with Dracula, Blade realized he was immune to the vampire's curse that had felled many other hunters. Armed with this knowledge, he parted company with Harker and went after Deacon Frost alone. Blade later battled Dracula in London, as well as Morbius the Living Vampire and the Legion of the Damned, who unsuccessfully framed him for murder. Blade also destroyed a band of vampire children without hesitation. Blade's hunt for his mother's killer led him to Boston, Massachusetts, where he allied with Dracula against Dr. Sun. Following this battle, Dracula vanished and Blade again set out on his own. He eventually encountered Hannibal King, a private detective whom Deacon Frost had turned into a vampire. While initially distrusting King, Blade teamed up with him to hunt Frost. Blade and King fought together against Blade's evil doppelganger, who absorbed the real Blade into his form. King enlisted the help of Daemon Hellstrom, the son of Satan, who exorcised Blade from the doppelganger and killed it with King's help. Blade and King eventually caught up with Frost, who had created an army of vampiric doppelgangers, one for each of his victims. Together they shut down Frost for good, destroying the vampire and forging a lasting friendship. Journey and it won't change. Know what's sustained on the mental, know what I've been through, what I maintain.